I would like to remind you of a couple of key points for the event today. We request that all participants please turn off both their audio and their video, which is key. So all of you could do that. All questions for the speakers need to be put through the chat. And then as we have a very large number of participants today, I will be the one who will be selecting the questions for the speakers, but all of the questions will then go forward to the relevant speakers if we don't ask them today. We've set up a system for webinar polls and surveys. We have actually two different systems we're using today. You can see the codes there. There's menti.com for the first two questions and then Slido for the second. You just need to go to the relevant websites and enter the code, and then you will be able to enter your answers to the questions, and we will then have the results very quickly. So thank you very much for that. If you could all observe that, and remember, audio off, video off, and questions in the chat. And for the polls and surveys during the event, if you can go to the Menti and Slido. So just spend a couple of minutes doing that. The best way to do that for the polls and surveys is to do that on your phone, and then keep the screen open for the presentations and for the chat. So thank you very much. So just once again, on behalf of the Carpe Diem project, which is an Interreg Europe project, looking at really how you can change policy for and improve them to support digital transformation of the more rural and more peripheral areas of Europe. And we have been working now for 1.5 years, and one of the key topics we're working on is the area of tourism. Now, tourism, we've put it, today's title is about its evolution in a challenging environment. Now, the challenging environment is not only COVID, it's also the climate change. And it's also to do with the new policy direction of the European Union, the Green Deal, and who knows, possibly it may be even more a challenge because of what's happening in the United States today. But let's see, it's not only a challenging for tourism, but it's also challenging for the whole of economy and society. But tourism is a very, very, very clear indicator of this. As it spreads across all sectors, tourism impacts on wide areas of the economy, not only directly tourist visitors, but local supply chains, clearly airlines and travel, transport. It's a key sector in the European economy. But what we are doing within the Carpe Diem project as an introduction is really helping the more peripheral areas of Europe, are the ones who traditionally are outside the main digital innovation areas, to really turn this into an economic opportunity for their villages, for their towns, for their cities, for their islands. We have Madeira and Mallorca as partners, and also the country of Bulgaria. And what we're really looking at is also seeing how this transformation can take place, not in a vacuum of innovation and technological skills, but one where they are present, where people have access to them, where they can really make this opportunity count. So this is really, really fundamental. And remember that if we're looking at European cohesion and integration, any further exclusion from this digital integration will have very damaging effects. And we need this to ensure that social and economic isolation is turned into social and economic integration of rural and peripheral areas. Now, today, we're focusing on tourism, as this is one of the key areas traditionally that the rural areas, peripheral areas like islands have been really able to transfer some of the economic advantage in the richer cities and industrial areas into their own advantage locally, but clearly it has been under significant threat recently. And just to give you an overall view of our partnership now and what we're undertaking, as you can see from the map there, we have partners from the periphery of the north, the south, and also the center of Europe. We are the lead partner from the Nièvre in Burgundy in France, the most rural department or county of the Nièvre, where one of our key aspects is actually enabling the remote rural areas to have access through digital services, through the extension of digital mediation brokerage services through rural hubs, and through the integration of new policies, particularly relating to attracting new visitors and perhaps new residents in the area. In Slovenia, the 4PDIH, the People, Planet, I will get them to say that later, what all the P's mean. They are really looking at how you can support and enhance the overall digital transformation of the public sector, medium-sized enterprises, rural territories and urban areas. It's an integrated approach. It's really reducing that digital gap. And this is really the key thing for also European strategy. It's helping everybody to have access to the services that they all need. Right, and also, of course, and fundamental to all of our partners is ensuring that we all have access to high quality rural broadband structures and peripheral broadband, high-speed broadband, really for the whole of Europe. In Ireland, again, the remote area in the northwest of Ireland here, it's really engaging all citizens, trying to ensure that you have hubs, these rural hubs, which brings the opportunities of digital transformation throughout and enables really high upmarket digital jobs to be wherever. So wherever your company wants to locate, it can. So wherever you want to, you can move to the most remotest areas of Donegal and have access to all the digital services, the skills and the infrastructure that you need in order to make your business successful. In Umeå, in the region of Västerbotten, in the north of Sweden, what we're really trying to do, again, is reducing this digital innovation gap. It's ensuring that all services are not only available to urban areas, but also to the rural areas, and extending the services that have traditionally only been available to urban enterprise to all rural and peripheral enterprises. And then also, for example, another example in the island of Madeira is really creating the seeds of an island digital innovation hub, bringing together the different actors to ensure that when you need a solution for a clear program like COVID, you're able to base this on the resources you have within your own area. So there are examples there as well. We have France, Ireland, Slovenia, Bulgaria, which is developing its own innovation hub, Spain from the Mallorca Chamber of Commerce, who are now working very, very closely, and they'll describe this later, on a tourism digital innovation hub. So all of these countries, all of these regions are investing huge amounts of time, energy, and human resources into creating the baseline and also far more advanced levels of access to digital innovation hubs, the skills, the competencies, the infrastructure necessary to achieve this. So that's enough from the lead partner of the project. Give you an idea, and now we hand over to our co-presenter from Mallorca, Dolores Ordóñez, and over to you.
So thank you very much, Clive. Thank you very much for inviting me, and especially for giving us the opportunity to present and to organize this webinar. So we are here, and as Clive has said, tourism is important, and we have decided to work on the tourism sector because it has a direct economic impact in all the European regions. It has also a worldwide economic impact, and for Europe, it was around 51% of the international arrival share. So it has a great impact in our GDP, meaning around 12%. But it has also impact in our cultural preservation, in our environment, our economic and sustainable development. But what happened in March? So the pandemic COVID arrived, next please. And the impact, the tourism was one of the most heated economic sectors in Europe, and it is still. And what we are discussing about the economic recovery, we are now seeing that it will take not only 1 year, in the next season it will be everything recovered, but it will take around 3-4 years to completely recover. So all the expectations we had last year with the huge amount of the new records of tourists arriving to Europe have now go down, with losses that are around 80%. So what is the forecasting is that the domestic tourism will increase. But when we are discussing about this tourism recovery, and we base this tourism recovery in digital, we have to say that the tourist is digital before COVID. And this is something that the Digital Innovation Hubs and the digital ecosystem has a key role to support companies, to support the destinations, to be transformed, to be able to support and accelerate the tourism recovery. Finally, what we are going to say is that the tourism recovery is based in the three main lines that also the European Commission is promoting: sustainability, digital, and resilient. And here in resilient, we include also safety. So we need safety and secure destinations. And this is something that you are going to hear today. So as you have seen in the agenda, the different sessions and the split during these key topics, and we will have keynote speakers that will let us know which are the possible solutions to tackle the situation that tourism is facing today. So I hope you enjoy this webinar, and please make questions, participate, and be interactive, because we will have the opportunity to come with big experts and professionals. So thank you.
And now, Dolores, we now need our first question to the audience. This is kind of an honesty check for you to see, you know, what you would really rather be doing now, to check whether you are a real tourist or not. So you've received the instructions about where to go to. So if you could put that up on screen, Dolores.
Sure.
Yeah. So, right then, I think many of us have been sort of, oh gosh, look at that! You're all really being honest here, following this webinar. Well, thank you very much. So we'll keep there. We'll perhaps come back to the result in a minute or two, Dolores. But please answer that. And so do be honest there. Let's just want to check so we to see how interesting this webinar really is. Okay. So as Dolores mentioned, one of the key aspects here is actually looking at the safety, because we're looking at really how digital innovation is used to increase the differences such as safety and sustainability. And for our first presentation, we'd like to go over to Miguel Campos from WOW Systems in Madeira. So who has developed a fantastic system there to ensure that tourists who arrive in Madeira are kept safe and secure. So over to you, Miguel.
Hello, if you could share my screen. Amelia.
Thank you there. Now, because we're in our partners here, clearly Madeira is one of the most important tourist areas, and if you...
Yeah.
Liz, could you please share
Yes,
the screen?
in a minute.
Okay, thank you, Emilia.
Yeah. Okay, now, good morning, everyone. My name is Miguel Campos from Madeira, and today I'll bring you a quick demo on the Madeira Safety Discover. So, Madeira is a very popular holiday destination in Europe, in the Atlantic Ocean, and therefore our economy relies quite heavily on tourism. Obviously, that with the COVID pandemics, and the measures that we've taken, the full lockdown, the closure of the seaports and of the airports, tourism obviously had a lot of a downpour, and how the economy went down. So this represented a very negative impact on the region. But as you know, as the government started to think about reopening the region and lifting the lockdown, the problem started to appear is that basically was, how do we reopen the region to tourism while keeping everyone safe? But also, if tourists came in and had nothing to do because of service operators had also closed down, it wouldn't be very productive. So we also had to create a stimulus for the service providers that were closed down to reopen while keeping track of everyone and all the positive cases and eventual symptoms that everyone develops afterwards. So this was the challenge. And this is where having a digital innovation hub is very handy. So Madeira Digital Innovation Hub came to the rescue. And here, please bear in mind, we don't have a formal digital innovation hub in Madeira. We have several very competent entities from private and public sector that have been working together over the last years, collaborating, making proposals together. And this creates a multidisciplinary team that can brainstorm and interact to create new projects. So basically, the regional health authorities started to thinking on this challenge, on this problem, and talked with Madeira Interactive Technology Institute, that is a very capable R&D institute in Madeira, to see what solution could be developed. So they came up with an online web-based platform to track symptoms and people who arrived to Madeira. And afterwards, the tourism border also came into the talks with the tourism enhanced problem. So they wanted to participate in this discussion, and this led to bring on other local SMEs like Madeira Best, which is a tourism experience aggregator, and Well Systems, which is a IT solution provider. So all these entities work together in order to bring Madeira safe. So I'll just start playing this video, which is a short demo of the platform. So everyone that comes to Madeira needs to register on this platform, either before arriving or at the airport with help of staff. So you just register basic details of yourself, your name, your address, and contact number, and you start adding trips. Where are you coming from? When are you coming from? If you're a resident, if you have symptoms, even your seat number on the flight that you are arriving. So this will enable authorities to have a prior view of whoever is coming in and to keep track of everything. So you also need to state if you're coming from COVID-related areas or not, and other details. So everyone who arrives in Madeira has to have a negative PCR test. You can either bring one or be tested at airport free of charge. The result is then added into the platform, or you receive it by email, SMS, or by phone by the health authorities. So you can also manage your PCR tests in the platform. Now, the app is also used to keep track of symptoms, because one can test negative, arrive negative, and in a few days develops COVID-19 symptoms. So users are encouraged to report every day how they are feeling. If they have cough, fever, and other symptoms, they receive an SMS notification or an email and are invited to share them. So this will eventually lead them, that's the idea, to be entitled to a free experience in Madeira. That is a free tourist experience. They eventually will receive an email with a promo code in which they go to the Madeira Best platform and can choose and book for free one of many tourist experiences available. So in this case, I've chosen a typical Levada walk in Madeira, and they can book it free of charge, as you can see. So the outcome of this till the date, so the platform's first version became available early June, late July actually, and to the date we have more than 80,000 people registered. And many service providers, tourism service providers, have reopened their activity. So this also was important because the tourism board started to see how important this platform could be and extended to other channels. So now if you book, for instance, a flight to Funchal with TAP Portugal or Jet2, and this is valid on selected markets, you are also entitled to a free experience. So this is how it's currently working. And to finish off, I'll just share a short promo video in which you can see how it actually works. Welcome to Madeira, and thank you, everyone. Back to you, Clive.
Great, thanks very much, Miguel. I think that's one of the key moments that we really need in this this webinar today, is really to see how people are making sure that when you arrive there, not only, for example, testing that you're safe, but then when you arrive, ensure that actually they track tourists and make sure that if they do come down with symptoms, that there is an instant response and you're really followed. And I think it's also a question of feeling that you're being taken care of, that when you arrive, it's not just the digital side, it's also the human side. You're being taken care of when you arrive. Now we'll hand over to Pedro Omar, looking at the another digital application, Safe Beaches, because of course not only when you arrive do you want to feel safe and secure, but actually when you go and visit the tourist destinations. So over we go now to Pedro, looking at the Safe Beaches app from Mallorca.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for inviting me. Does everybody see the screen?
Yes, perfectly. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay, so thank you, Madeira. Congratulations, great example, and I think it's quite impressive. Well done. Okay. Briefly from Palma, we're going to explain you how we manage the beaches and the sun, basically the sea area during this COVID-19. Okay, so basically it was done via different apps as well as several dashboards that allowed us to control all the access to the beaches and to make sure that everything was safe and secure. Okay. Basically, just to give you a quick update, during July, August, and September 2019, Balearic Islands received 5.2 million tourists. Out of these 5.2, 3.7 came to Mallorca and 1.2 came to Palma. Okay, annually, Mallorca receives 13 million tourists, and out of these 13 million tourists, Palma receives close to 6 million. Okay. Basically, there are 379 affiliates to the tourism sector and close to 9,000 companies. So basically, we are a service economy and dependent on tourism. Obviously, the beaches is a public space with a lot of pressure and obviously risk associated to COVID-19. Regulations needed to be applied, and there was a need to inform not only visitors, residents, but also all the productive sector. Okay. Basically, the objectives that we were looking for was Palma as a safe destination. We needed to maintain that idea. We needed to convey that message that it was safe to coming over to Palma and to enjoying the beaches. Inform in order to enjoy the destination safely, avoid concentrations and risky situations in public spaces, communicate all of our safety standards through all the different channels, and obviously do it from a holistic point of view. We needed to include all the value chain associated to tourism in this project. Basically, from our smart city, what we did, basically we came with the idea, we took on the responsibility of managing capacities, and basically what we did was to design a system. Basically, we have Wi-Fi installed in all of our municipality. We also have most of the beaches with cameras. So what we did is basically we created a dashboard that was the center of operations for all the information that already the Wi-Fi as well as the camera were basically taken from the beach situation and how the beaches were in terms of if they were crowded or not. Okay, all this information from the dashboard was being sent to a user app that the user could see on real time what was the occupancy of the different beaches, and before going to the beach to decide to which beach he or she would want to go. And then there was a lifeguard app that they were the ones doing a double check in terms of how the beaches were and the capacity and the occupancy of those beaches. Vale? Basically, the user app was developed for Android as well as iOS. Okay, and from the user app, you could see the occupancy in real time for each of the different beaches that we have in the municipality. Okay, for example, you see here Cala Mayor is each one of them, and there you see, for example, 880. That's the maximum number of people that can be on that beach at one time. Okay, so basically you will be able to see how was that beach and if it was good for you to go or not. And then on the second screen, on the screen on the right, basically before leaving home, you were able to see what was the occupancy of all the different beaches on the sea area, in order for you to decide to which one it was best for you to go or not. Once you arrived to the beach, you were asked to do a check-in on that beach, okay, to make sure that all that information we knew at each time, the number of people that were there. You could only do the check-in if you were 50 meters close to that beach. You were asked to check in the number of people and at what time you were arriving and at what time you were leaving. This information was being fed also into the dashboard, along with all the information on the Wi-Fi, as long as all the information on the cameras. Okay. And basically, this was the screens for the lifeguards. Okay, the lifeguards. There were also another point of entry. So they were every 2 hours. They needed to check that individual beach that they were basically taking care of on saying what was the occupancy rate, and all this information was going also into this dashboard. That was everything. That it was from where it was everything controlled. Okay. These are some screens of the dashboard, basically that all the different areas of the city hall, as well as the private sector, was connected to this dashboard. So everybody was able to see on real time how were those beaches performing on a day-to-day basis. And basically these dashboards has different points of security, that the dashboard, when a beach was arriving to 80% of capacity, automatically the police, the firemen, etc., were on call if they had to close a beach or not. Okay. And just to finalize, make sure if I can see this video, it's a quick video on how the application works. Okay. Are you seeing the video? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Pedro. And Pedro hasn't mentioned it, but it has been such a successful experience that now has been transferred to the whole region of the Balearic Islands. So thank you very much, and congratulations for the success of this initiative.
Yeah, great, Pedro. Thank you for that. And it was also very interesting to see that you touched on one other area of sustainability, which is also the question of access to handicapped people, because I think that's something that's often forgotten, is that even within these more difficult times, we need to ensure that everybody has access, not only in terms of their human rights, but also in terms of their all tourists themselves. So that's great. Thank you very much, Pedro. And if you have any questions specifically relating to these, please do put that in there. Okay. And it there's a question here which I think we can answer very quickly. One, both of you, how high was the percentage of guests using this system? Actually, do you know how many people who were on the beach were actually using this particular app?
Yes, hold on. Let me check a WhatsApp I have here with all the data. Fundación. Yes.
But just in the meantime, whilst Pedro is checking this information, the next section, which we'll be going on to very rapidly, is really looking at the issue of sustainability and digital innovation. Because it's not only, sustainability is something which is appropriate not only in times of COVID, but also in terms of general. The climate change is still happening. We still need to ensure that tourism is as sustainable as possible. And also it's sustainable not only in terms of its economic impact, but also the social and environmental impact, that it's optimized wherever possible. Have you found the information, Pedro?
Yes, no, I want to make sure. Yes, I have it here. I have it on an email. So just out of memory, okay. Basically, we had a total of 15,000 downloads of the app, okay, during the 2-month period that it was operative until the market shut down, okay. And out of these downloads, 60% of the people that went to the beach did a check-in. It is true that it was voluntary, but besides being voluntary, 60% of those people that went to the beach did a check-in when going into the beach.
Okay, great. Thank you, Pedro, for that. And that's so. Any more questions on these particular applications, please do put them in the chat, and we'll make sure they're forwarded, and then you will be answered after the event. Now over to the sustainability issue, and one key point here is that's come up again and again in Carpe Diem is that when tourism was impacted by the COVID crisis, very often the supply chains that were going into the tourism industry were suddenly broken. The market didn't exist anymore. And very often, sometimes there were already in place local producer networks to ensure that we can actually help them access new markets or access existing markets. And what we really want to look at now is one of these examples from Slovenia that was really building on existing expertise to really help producers overcome not only the impact of COVID, but also ensure that in the long term they were far more sustainable, both in terms of their supply networks, but also in terms of clearly their economic livelihoods. So over to you, Emilia.
Thanks a lot, Clive. So first, I have still one thing to do, and that is to explain what does it mean 4P DIH. So 4P DIH stands for Public-Private People Partnership. That's why there are 4 Ps. So the crucial thing is people and partnership. And I will now start presenting our local producer platform that was developed, that is being developed within Carpe Diem. So together with our stakeholders. I already presented what does 4P means, and this is a partnership between the University of Ljubljana, the Faculty of Electrical Engineering, and the Association of Municipalities and Towns of Slovenia. And it is also supported by the Ministry of Public Administration, who are also partners in Carpe Diem project. Why we are developing this Meet the Local Producer platform? We want to show how local farm producers are important, and we want to do in a way that we put people in the front line. So we want to build storytelling about the people and not only about the products they're producing. This is especially important for people in rural areas, and this is a way to show new ways for economic and social sustainability by supporting local food supply chains. So what are our goals? As I already mentioned, we want to find new ways of representation and communication. So we want to bring local producers closer to the people who are using their products. So we want to use storytelling, to put the whole story behind. So it's not only about the cheese or the wine, but it's all about how the cheese or the wine were produced, who done that, so where they live, what is their daily life, what does it mean for them if you buy the product for them. And we believe that in this way, we will support sustainable local rural economy. And by knowing the producers, also we believe that people would like to visit them. So this is the way how we can boost sustainable local tourism. Because we are using digital technologies, also this platform are digital platforms. Using this platform and through the whole system, so the Digital Innovation Hub, we believe that this is the way how we can increase the digital skills and competencies in rural areas. So what is the context? This is a result not only of Carpe Diem, but also of many other projects that we're implementing in our lab, so at our faculty. One of them is smart villages, smart digital transformation of villages in the Alpine space. Then another Horizon project, living lab research concept in rural areas. And of course, our Fab Lab network. They all provided us with invaluable knowledge about local characteristics. So what is really important in the local areas, and they have enabled us to work directly with the local communities. So not for the local communities, but important is with the local communities. We're partners with them, so we want to hear from them and then to show them how digital technologies can help them. So we work directly with we call local influencers. So these are the people that have very good reputation in their areas, who are well connected in the ecosystems, and we call them local heroes. We have one of our local heroes with us today, Janja, and you will hear more from her. So local communities, through their local heroes, are encouraged to suggest their ideas and solutions, and then we, together with the support of the digital technologies, can do everything to make their ideas come true. So what are the results? Currently, we are developing the platform at our laboratory. We are collecting data from the local communities, and our local heroes did a great job here to help us get the data from the local farmers and other inhabitants. So then we're also planning the activities for communication and dissemination. Firstly, we want to present this in Slovene, because it's for mainly for our local markets, but we want to then show this in international markets as well. So what are the key messages? The platform Meet the Local Producer is based on the needs of the local community. So it's not what we believe that they need, but we want to hear from them and then make that true. Then we are enhancing rural DGEMs via digital services, so both public and private digital services. So I'm using DGEMs. This is well known for the Carpe Diem project, but for everyone else is this digital innovation ecosystems. Then for us, it is very important to promote sustainable and green culture in which information and communication technologies play an integral part. And by focusing on local farm holders and other food producers, we want this personal touch. So it's not about the technology, but it's about the people there, and the technology is only a media that will enhance rural people's life. So that was all from Slovenia, and we're very happy to share more information to anyone who is interested in it. Thank you, Clive.
Great, thanks very much, Emilia. And just to add something to that, I think one of these things this shows is that you need to have this real partnership between people on the ground who want solutions, and then bodies who can provide some of the technical solutions to meet their needs. And the second point here is actually the sharing across Europe. There are several of these initiatives taking place. So what we really need to do is to work together, because the more you can share experience and responsibility and competencies, the more you can meet the needs of the local producers, who are really the key here. We need to help them to survive. So over to Dolores, who's going to introduce the next presenter from Mallorca. And just as looking at sustainable food is a key issue here, we're also looking at the circular economy, which is another one of the bases of the new Green Deal as well. Over to you, Dolores.
Yeah, thanks, Clive. It's my pleasure to present Maria Frontera. Maria Frontera is the president of the Hotel Federation of Mallorca. And I think her presentation is going to be very aligned with what Emilia has said in terms of generating this ecosystem synergy and collaboration between different stakeholders at the level of the island, which is also aligned with the things that we are doing at the level of the digital innovation hubs, in which tourism and the agri-food sector should go together to promote the competitiveness of the island. So Maria, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Dolores. Can I share my screen then? Do you see that?
Yes, of course. You will do that in just a few seconds.
Okay, perfect.
Well, as we wait, thank you very much for the invitation. We really agree on all the presentations that you were talking about. And it's really interesting because we are all want to share between all of us, all the good practices that we have, as you were mentioning, and if we can inspire others across Europe, it will be really nice. So now the presentation is here. Let me just start with it, sorry. Just wanted to move it. So I have to, sorry, just a little second. Well, just Dolores was mentioning that we represent more than 826 hotels in the island. That means more than 200,000 beds. So just to you have an idea of the representation of the federation. As you were all talking about, what is important for us is to strengthen alliances with all of the important interest groups as hoteliers, suppliers, human capital, institutions, and other organisms as the ones that we're going to talk today. TIRME is one of them, Impulsa Foundation is another one, and MAC Insular. With all of them, we have started good practices around the hotel circularity. Fundación Impulsa is a platform of strategic knowledge that has made an agreement with UMTO to work and establish patterns and methodology around the hotel circularity from a perspective that has never been worked on before. So this information and this new methodology is going to come in a short time public, and we are all participating because we're going to be all benefit from that methodology, so we can be implemented in all of the hotels in the island. And secondly, we're going to talk about the good practices that we are having with a firm called MAC Insular, which is the one in charge of transforming and working on managing the waste of the constructions, the work that we do on the hotel reforms. On the last years, in Mallorca, for the last 6 years, we have been renovating most of our hotel plans, 60%, and that means an investment of more than 2,000 million just in the island of Mallorca. As a result of it, we generated more than 450 tons of construction waste that's been treated and has been given a new use with environmental uses, different uses that you can see here in that list, like creation of rural roads, party walls between road access, etc. So we try to give a second use of all that construction waste. Secondly, we're going to talk about another initiative was driven by a hotel company called Garden. In 2015, they started to think about the ecological products, the bioproducts that they wanted to show in their own buffets. When they started to try to buy those products on the local farmers, because the important here was to try to buy local products that were eco to our local farmers. And what they find out is that they didn't have sufficient eco products because there was a lack of natural compost in the island. So a result of that, they started an initiative to see how they could use or give another use to the organic waste generated at the hotel. They choose one hotel in particular to start with this initiative. According to one of the studies that they have made, the one guest generates 0.67 kilos of organic matter per day. So to give an opportunity to that organic matter and convert it, transform it into natural compost, it was the objective. So for that, of course, they have to strategically look for some stakeholders interested in the same purpose. So they join forces with local farmers, with entities that were specialized on making natural compost, and other organization, non-profit, that wanted to add to that project. So we were trying for that. The result was for 91 tons of organic waste produced by one hotel, in one season, they had, as a result of that, after the transformation, 33 tons of natural compost. So the local farmers could be used to grow their own products, and after that, sell them to the hotel, so for their clients' consumption. So as a result of that, it demonstrated that this initiative was a success. Of course, it was important that a legal framework accompany that initiative, because at the beginning we have really big problems because...
Just Maria, you have about 30 more seconds.
Okay,
just to warn you. Okay.
Well, after organizing and working with the government of the Balearic Islands, we had a new law that facilitated that work. So now, at this moment, we have 5 other hotel companies working through Tourismin, which is the one in charge of the organic waste, to organize it and transform it. And now we are more hotels working on that, because we want to boost the local economy, to try to accelerate that products of kilometer zero, bring it to the clients, and in theory, just make that circle that is important for us. Try and work through sustainability, through digitalization, through a lot of training for the all one involved on that, for a better purpose, and that's going towards a more responsible and sustainable tourism in the islands. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Maria. And just to hurrying you up at the end, I think it was an extremely valuable presentation there, really looking at the way that circularity can also help increase the sustainability, not only of the hotels themselves, because waste is also a big factor. It has an environmental impact, it has a cost impact, and it also has a social impact. So the more you can reduce it and the more you can put it actually to a sustainable use, the better it is for the economy, society, and also for the environment.
I cannot hear you. I don't know if it's...
There we are. Anyway, there's over now to, we need to go to the next presenter now. And I think this is also something where we're looking at the sustainability of tourism, which is also directly looking at how the sustainability can be shared with the citizens and with the tourists themselves. We're actually looking at involving them, and this is in a way, let's call it crowding responsibility here, and actually getting people involved in helping to ensure the environmental and social sustainability of the areas that they are either living in or visiting. So over to you, Katrina, from Airnat in the northwest of Ireland. This great 2 wonderful initiatives there that you are currently involved in. Thank you.
Hi everybody, thanks Clive. My name's Katrina Strain and I work for Airnact. I'm making this presentation today on behalf of Jose Manuel Sanamaterio, who is actually the person working on Carpe Diem on these services, but he can't be here today. So I hope I do him justice. So I'll just give you a brief profile, first of all, about County Donegal before I explain the 2 services. So County Donegal, it's the most northern county in Ireland, and you can see the map there. We're located at the very top of Ireland. The current population is almost 159,000. It's the 4th largest county in the Republic of Ireland, and it's also the largest county in the province of Ulster. It's got a coastline of 1,134 kilometres. And this is part of the Wild Atlantic Way Tourism Initiative. Donegal also has a border with Northern Ireland of 140 kilometres and a 9-kilometre border with the Republic of Ireland, and 6,400 kilometres of road network. So the 2 services that are being produced as part of Carpe Diem in County Donegal are, the first one is a coastal management service. The objectives of this service are to engage public participation as citizen scientists in the field of marine coastal erosion mapping using crowdsourcing imagery. And it's also to help control and manage coastal erosion to help with coastline development. The captured images that will be taken by the public will be used to monitor coastal zone fluctuations and changes over time and form a valuable baseline resource for climate adaptation and mitigation measures in the future. The service is being tested in County Donegal. The primary stakeholders for this service are the general public, coastal residents, and visitors or tourists who are accessing these beach areas. Then also coastal managers and ambassadors are secondary stakeholder groups. So you can see examples here on the right hand side of the screen of the different images, and these can be taken over a period of time, so it can show the beach and how it's evolving over a number of years. And then the second tool is a cultural heritage tool. It's a crowdsourced tool, so it's using geographic information systems, and the objectives of this service are to crowdsource and preserve knowledge, culture and heritage information and knowledge that is only known locally. And by doing this, by working with the local communities in County Donegal through the employment of a geographical information systems, and then also with the aim to engage and empower the local communities to build up and digitize their own cultural heritage assets locally, and also to take ownership for these assets. And that's the two services that are being developed in County Donegal.
Great, thank you very much, Katrina. And I think it's just looking at those initiatives there and looking, I mean, the second one, looking at really, it's helping preserve the cultural heritage, but one fundamental thing there is it's the local citizens themselves who are involved in preserving traditional place names. For example, it could be fields, sometimes it could be things like trees, but it's really getting them involved in the management, the cultural management of their landscape, just as, for example, with using the coastal erosion application there, it's actually getting people involved in helping the county council and other stakeholders have far more information on actually the state of the erosion on the coastline. And this, of course, could be used in many different situations. So now we go on to the next presenter, okay, who we're looking at Sophie Lacour from Nièvre Attractif, from the county of the Nièvre in Burgundy in France. And if you can, Sophie, if you can now get your presentation ready. So you can share, that's right. Now, this is also one of the biggest impacts, certainly that's happened in France with the COVID, but also increasingly looking at the sustainability issues of overcrowding in the cities. There's actually people beginning to move back to some rural areas, but also it can be second home. It can be people who are what we call nomad workers, and people who are looking to resettle in communities. And of course, key here is the question of digital connectivity and access to digital services. Actually being able then to work from home. It can be work from rural hubs, as there are a fantastic network in the Nièvre for that. And there's also now a major initiative in the Nièvre and really looking to attract new people and to help them settle in the area. So over to you, Sophie. Can you share your screen?
Yeah. Sophie, you are muted. Sophie. Now?
You see me?
Yes.
Yeah. I think that it was you that you share my presentation, so I don't know how to do.
Now we check. That's no problem at all. We'll get that up. If you can just introduce yourself, and we'll get your presentation up there. So.
Yes, I'm Sophie Lacour, and I'm working for Nièvre Attractif, the development agency in charge of the attractiveness of the department, the Nièvre. It's a countryside department in France, in the middle of France. So, you, how can
that's
we...
fine. I will do that in a second, Sophie. If you just talk over that, I'll get that ready for you. Okay. So here we are now. There's it up on the screen.
So. Good, thank you very much. I will speak about an innovative operation called Try the Nièvre. essayer la Nièvre in French. In this moment, effectively, as you said, the change is very significant for residents of large city. Housing example with without balconies or with no garden, and the transport is very hard. The quality of the environment is very difficult, and all these inconvenience generates a growing desire to move to the countryside. It's very pregnant in France, and I think it's other country too. In this context, so next please. In this context, is that the Nièvre Attractive, so the development agency in charge of the attractiveness of the department, has initiated an operating. The target was the inhabitant of large cities such as Paris or Lyon. Next, please, sorry. Yes, thank you very much. The offer was a week of vacation offer to test the Nièvre. The idea was very simple. You register on a website, you specify your plan to set up in the department, and if your candidacy is selected, you come to spend a week in the Nièvre. We offer you a personalized support, which we allow to discover the territory. You meet the infrastructure, the potentiality, the inhabitants, the mayor of a lot of little town, the economics actors, and even we allow you to meet the estate agency to model your project of intelligence. So during this week, you will stay in the countryside in a cottage we call gîte. Next, please. The very important point is that it's a collective action that we make with all the EPIC. The EPIC, it's a French administrative structure grouping together several municipalities, little municipality in countryside, and we work together. We spend 50,000 euros for the technical part. We communicate on 4 support, site specializing in helping citizens to leave Paris. In France, we have such site. We add an ad page in a Mayor national magazine, only one. We create a seat to the operation, and we have the very fortunate to be distinguished by a mainstream television show in June, a show in prime time with 2.5 million viewers. So it was amazing. After this campaign, next please. After this campaign, we receive 563 candidacy. So we choose 46 families. During this day, the families have individual and collective meeting with private and public economic actor and with development agents of our agency. And we support them in the settlement project to let them know the territory and what they can do. And they even have a party with a farmer market at the end. Next, please. So 77% of families were very satisfied with their stay, the welcome they receive. At this point, success is such that 18 families have already initiated a process of settling in the region. 13 projects are very advanced. 4 are actively looking for a property. 4 families apply for a job. And the second assignment that we can make for this operation is a media coverage generated by the operation. It was really amazing for us. It was calculated that there was an equivalent of 6,000 euros of advertising and a forecast of 1 million euros at the end of the years. I remember you that we invest only 50,000 euros of this operation. So it was really great. Many journalists called us and want to make a paper of the operation, and they was very surprised of the disruptive and the innovative side of this approach, and they recognize the total relevance of this operation in this art context. Next, please. So now we want to create a digital platform of Nièvre Attractive to centralize the market in a single tools and with each territory with a partner of this platform. Thank you.
Thank you very much there, Sophie. And I think it's extremely important now to recognize that tourism is not just about short-term visits. And I think this is also looking at, it's helping people have longer term visits and sometimes permanent stays. And this is one other impact, not only of COVID, but also looking at sustainability, is trying to help ensure that in many of the rural areas which have been suffering a decline in population, it's getting families back, it's getting businesses back. And new families also mean that schools are kept open, local supply chains are kept working, local, for example, even looking at how you can have care in the community so that even senior citizens can move and stay in their homes. It's really about building up the services and networks and the structures to help people move back or carry on living within rural areas. So just to finish this little section, I'd like to hand over to Cecilia now from Echo Camps in the north of Sweden. And we're also here looking at one other aspect of that's happened with COVID, and you'll certainly touch on, is the way that several countries are now looking at how you can actually offer people who normally would have traveled overseas to actually look at their own local areas for as a tourist destination. Over to you, Cecilia. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Clive, and thank you for this opportunity to speak to you all. My name is, as mentioned, Cecilia Berglund. I have a background in strategic development within the meeting industry, but I am today one of the benefactors of tourism that I am running my own company within nature tourism. But I would like to start with a small background to Sweden, and it has for a long time had international tourists enjoying the core of what Sweden can offer when it comes to food, nature, and culture. Of course, Sweden has had a devastating time within the tourism industry, as we all know, and specifically for the cities. But I would like to focus a little bit on the opportunities that it actually has created. It is an opportunity, though, as some of you have said before, for some of the rural areas, whereas the domesticism actually has increased with nature-based experiences. Cabin areas, second homeowners, as some of you mentioned, because they are perceived as safe harborage. And the future has to be and is sustainable, and the travel industry is changed for an unforeseeable future, if not forever. Some of these changes that would have happened anyway, but the pandemic have absolutely accelerated it. Where some parts of the world has issues related to over-tourism, we believe that the knowledge of this alternative tourism actually can be shared and is shared, therefore can be prevented in other destinations, with an increase in domestic tourism in area where infrastructure is not yet established, because the Swedish mountains have been more visited. We can, with this knowledge, ensure the sustainability in all areas and make sure that they are addressed for the future. And to give you examples of the opportunities that has been booming actually, it is discovering the next door. It has been farmers' restaurants that have been started. There has been design tours in rural areas, workshops that are digital with longer courses and courses. We have had guided nature tours in parks, and of course in the nature reserves that we have quite a lot of. Cafes and bars, but the combination of a weekend city tourism and a vacation experience with a domestic target group can actually build a genuine experience for the guests of tomorrow. With these new tourism opportunities, we are seeing new businesses arise. I am one of them, and they are arising because we are working together in collaborative models, be it by sharing booking technology skills or otherwise to offer experiences to the next generation of travelers, whether it is digital or physical. And for that, I thank you for your attention. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Cecilia. And just say it is really an important point about the way that tourism perhaps is shifting. This does not mean, for example, that we're going to get, a 50% reduction in people going to Mallorca, or 100% increase in the north of Sweden. But there is this shift, and there's this shift towards making it clearly more digital, which is a fundamental factor in the issue of access, and the question of information, the question of actually understanding where is safe, where is good, and where is sustainable to go. So this is a fundamental shift, and the issue of cooperation between different European partners is fundamental to this, and this is what we are trying to achieve. Now, one thing that we really, really wish to do, and we want to mention this also later on in the presentation, is the fact that we are investigating now, as a partnership, as a project, setting up a European Peripheral and Rural Digital Innovation Hub. How this is going to take part is something we need to ask you. But first of all, one key question, and perhaps Dolores, you can now put up this question, is actually, do people actually know what it is? So could you just put up I think it's number questions 2 and 3. I actually, yeah. So here we are. Do you know what a digital innovation hub is? And I think that's something that we need to work on. We need to check. And so that's on the Menti. And we also now have also a question relating to the process of actually setting up a digitalization hub for rural and peripheral Europe. Is actually what type of organization you work for. Is it possible to do 2 at the same time, Dolores? We can put up the 2 questions there, one on Slido and one on the Innovation Hub, or should we do that later?
Well, we can do it later, but we are now 15 answers. So if we can animate or encourage all the participants to take 5 seconds to go to menti.com and use this code that you see on the screen, 4188568. We can then go to the next question. So we have already 18. So we are around 80 participants now. So please go to menti.com and use this code. So
right.
Thank you, 21.
Yeah, that's
and
super.
I can prepare the other one. And
great.
Well,
that's
I'm not sure, no. So we will have to explain what the Digital Innovation Hub is.
Okay, we'll certainly give an opportunity to our speakers to do that, because a couple of them have mentioned just how important Digital Innovation Hub is to their work. And in the case of the Carpe Diem project, we use the expression DGEM, which is a digital innovation ecosystem, because particularly in many rural and peripheral areas, people have, with the idea of a hub, they think of one place, they think of perhaps an inaccessible place. But actually, when they're looking at accessing digital innovation and all types of access to digital competencies, it's great to have local availability. I know in Slovenia and in the Nievre in France, this is the case with a large number of rural digital hubs, with fab labs, with maker spaces, which are really places which are locally give people access to the innovation and skills which they require. But just about a couple of minutes for questions. There's one relating to this issue of a digital innovation hubs, and I think it'd be great if Emilia could give us a bit more on that, what you consider them to be. And there's a question to Katrina, which is actually how you present the information on this cultural information on the app to tourists and to local people. So we'd have those 2 questions before moving on to the next session. So over to you, Emilia, and then to Katrina.
Thank you, Clive. So a very good question. How do we understand digital innovation hubs? I think that different regions, different organizations understand them in different way. But the way we understand it's a very holistic way. So we believe that digital innovation hubs are the perfect way to boost digital transformation. And that is why they need to address digital transformation in a holistic way. So in our case, we do not only address the economy, the companies, the SMEs, like in many cases they are addressed, but we also want to include the public administration and especially the local communities. So digital innovation hubs are organizations or partnerships who need support to the companies, to the public administrators, to the local communities, to somehow make the process easier for them to move to the digital transformation agenda or era, if I may say that. So the Digital Innovation Hubs are the organizations that offer support, that give good practices, that raise awareness about what digital transformation is, share best practices and experience, then provide training, but most importantly to network and also maybe to suggest where the funding can come from. I hope this was clear.
Right. Thanks very much, Emilia, on that. And I think it's a key area of our work, and we're certainly working on actually ensuring that the digitalization hubs or ecosystems are accessible, and that's the key thing. It's actually providing the competencies, the skills, and the access which are accessible to people in more rural and peripheral areas. Okay, now quickly over to Katrina. Just about this issue of how you present this cultural information to the tourists and to the local people that you have gathered through this application. Can you add something to that to answer a question?
Hi, Clive. Unfortunately, I'm not sure, but I'll find out the answer to it before this is over, because I'm doing this presentation on behalf of Jose Manuel, who's involved in it. So I'm not totally sure how, when the information is collected via the GIS, how it is actually presented to the tourist.
Okay.
But I'll find that out for you before this is over.
Thank you very much for that. And just to say, I have actually seen one of the maps which has been produced for that, and I think it was, I can't remember if it was using Google Maps or something similar, which was, instead of you only having, let's say, the names of towns and villages and tourist sites, you actually had the names put on that were given by the local people to some of the local fields and other structures. So not only you had the traditional ones or the official ones, but also you had a selection of the different names, and which were then given by people. And of course, because it's using geolocalization, you are then able to specifically put the name to the particular point of interest on the map.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and they also you can get the name in Irish and for the different features or townlands or whatever as well. But I'll find out. I'll try and get more information on that.
Okay, that's great. Now we're on now to one of the key areas here that we need to look at today, which is the issue of the actually what has happened relating to the policy changes with all these different challenges which are now being both another case of COVID, but also the question of sustainability. And we have a series of very short presentations, just a couple of minutes, just to show the key ways that now that the governments and other bodies throughout Europe are actually responding to these crises by changing policy, changing the way they operate to ensure the longer term sustainability, economic, social and environmental of the tourism industry. So if we can hand over now to Representative Rosen from the Ministry of Economy in Bulgaria. Are you there, Rosen?
Hello to everyone, I'm here. Do you hear me?
Right, now, yes, we do indeed. Now, if you could share your screen now, please.
Okay.
If you could put it on the full screen, and then that's it. Great, thank you.
Maybe it's enough.
That's fine.
Okay, thank you for the floor. Hello for everyone. I will give you some information about some practical measures for tourism. My name is Rosen from Ministry of Economy of Bulgaria. I represented the Mandate Authority of Operational Program Innovation and Competitiveness. What about the measure? The measure is for support the micro and small enterprises. We have two steps to support. First of all, I want to say that we have some communication with other government, with another business cooperation, and decide to open our program for business from tourism. And in result of this, with connection in connection with exactly with Carpe Diem, we decided to create some procedure. In this procedure, Ministry of Tourism is direct beneficiary, and after that, when the ministry receive the support, they give them to the companies. This is maybe two steps procedure. What about the main characteristic of procedure? The support is oriented to operational capital only because we now have the results of COVID-19 and have some problem for small and medium enterprises. The budget in the procedure is not so high. The budget is 5 million euro. We focus the support to micro, small and medium enterprises registered under the Tourist Act. There is eligible candidates in this scheme. What can I say more? Maybe this is basic information for this procedure, and in future we think about more instruments that will give more support to this kind of companies. Thank you. This may be all in basic.
Thank you very much. I mean, I think one of the key things we're saying is that the measures are all really to help really bridge this gap that many SMEs and others are having now within the decline in tourism numbers. And it's very important, as obviously you're doing now in Bulgaria, to ensure that there is this bridge, because many of them clearly with the reduction in numbers, a reduction in activity, and this is throughout the economy, but particularly in tourism, really need the support of national and local and regional governments to help bridge them over, not only with the, for example, like we saw with producer networks, which is helping keeping the economy going, but it's also supporting them when they clearly do not have the income stream anymore. Just quickly now we go over to Mallorca, to Carlos Biblioni from the Chamber of Commerce and Industry there, who are actually looking at the role of their digital innovation hub as a key element of policy change. Over to you, Carlos. Can you stop sharing your screen now, Rosen?
Yes.
Okay, and then we go over to Carlos. Thank you very much. Carlos.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hello, everybody. I think that you see the screen now.
Yes, perfectly.
Okay. Well, I'm Carlos Bibiloni from Mallorca Chamber of Commerce. We are one of the partners in Carpe Diem project, and here we are representing Balearic Island. Okay, it's not. I don't have to mention how important is tourism here in the Balearic Islands. I think that Pedro and Maria have already done it. So let's straight on focused on digital transformation. No, the Balearic regional policy to promote digital transformation in SMEs is aimed at raising awareness and offering personalized services. Emprembit program is in the incubator of technology-based companies at Barbit is the clear example of the work carried out by the Balearic government. This is an experience that they want to integrate into a public-private partnership environment that allows the creation of a wider digital transformation ecosystem. This is the main objective that the Chamber of Commerce promotes from the Carpe Diem project, and is achieving that with the help of Divaitur, the Balearic Digital Innovation Hub, and all its partners, Turistec, University, and Agri-Food Cooperative. We as private actors are working in close collaboration with the regional government to make it available to entrepreneurs and companies with a wide range of activities and services in order to increase their competitiveness. This is a collaboration that we trust will become successful in the forthcoming call for the European Digital Innovation Hubs. We believe in this system through different funds, here the IF, Spanish Ministry of Commerce, regional governments. This public-private partnership model allows Mallorca Chamber of Commerce to offer free advice for action plans related to digital transformation. You can see here cámaras, ciberseguridad, and direct aids for these companies to implement the action plan, consultancy in internalization, workshops of e-commerce and digital marketing, and in the near future to carry out with new services to companies that respond to new challenges of this economic and health crisis, such as program for tourism and sustainability competitiveness, among others. So that's all, Clive. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Carlos. And I think clearly this is a policy and a practical initiative, because one of the key things relating about an innovation hub and a digital innovation ecosystem is to get all of the key stakeholders working together to providing the services on the ground, but also making business, making citizens, making all public administrations really aware of what is possible, what can be done. And as clearly has been seen with the initiative which was presented earlier relating to the safe beaches, is actually been having the local capacity to be able to provide the solutions on the ground that the country needs. And I know also with your circular hotels and your local supply chains, you're really putting into operation and practice solutions that your country needs at the moment, your islands need. So that's why this is so valuable and important to continue working with digital innovation and network in hubs and in ecosystems. Right, we now hand over to Duarte Freitas, who's the president of our partner organization in Madeira, and we'd like to hand it over to you. Thank you very much for attending, to look at some of the key measures which are being undertaken there. And if you can remember now back to the beginning of the presentation, which is looking at this Safe Madeira application, but also there are wider measures being undertaken within the island to ensure that tourists have a safe and sustainable experience. Over to you, Duarte.
Hello, Clive. Hello, all. Good morning. Let me just share the screen. Well, I'm facing some problems on sharing my screen. I don't know if you can allow me.
Now we have.
Could you allow me to do that? Because I don't have the permission to share the screen.
Okay. Maybe that could be done. If you just check on that immediately, we'll perhaps if we go on to the next presentation from Yanyo, and we can sort out that technical problem in the meantime.
Okay. Hello.
What we do, we'll hand over to Yanyo now from Slovenia, and we'll look at sorting out this problem for you for the next presentation. So we go over now to a local perspective from Yanyo.
Hello, everybody. From Styria side of Slovenia. Does anybody see the screen? Okay. Yes?
Everything is fine.
Okay. So, I'm from Styrian Tourist Association. We are a non-profit organization with 65 members. And what is the problem now in COVID time on the countryside of Styria? Winemakers' sales have dropped more than 60% during COVID. And the winemakers need to change the sales channels and focus on online sales. So difficulties which we are seeing here are insufficient technical knowledge, insufficient knowledge to identify opportunities. Farmers don't know, especially something about websites and Facebooks and social media. So we need to training on new digital technology. And what we are working on in this time, we are working on promotion and sales promotion for local producer via websites and social networks, Facebook and other solutions. We have also created an innovative platform for local producers in Rural, and we are training our local producers or farmers how to use Zoom, Skypes, and other webinars platforms for meeting and talking with each other. What we should do, or maybe what we need to do, we need to work on policy responses with building network capacity. We need to work on technical assistance with digital training and skills trainings, financial assistance, development on researchers for innovative solutions and smart growth. And also we are working a lot on promote sustainable tourism in our region. Proposals for implementation, what we know and what digitalization brings to our countryside in Svečina and also in whole region, opportunities, innovation, and challenges. We all know that tourism is a key component of European economy, and this is a point of view from our side. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you there. And I think it's also, particularly what you're underlying is actually getting the digital skills down to the key users and the key stakeholders within the rural communities.
Yes.
And this is absolutely fundamental. It's actually making these accessible. And one of the key areas of the working on digital innovation ecosystems and hubs is to actually provide the services as locally as possible. This is an objective of the European Union, the European Commission, and that is exactly what we're trying to achieve. It's actually this inclusion of all stakeholders in the digital innovation economy. It's not excluding. And I think this is, as one member of the Commission said, we don't know where the next great digital innovations are coming from. There are 25% of the population live in rural and peripheral areas, and it can just as well come from them as it can come from the big cities. We need to ensure that everybody has access and can innovate and participate and contribute. So over to you, Duarte. Have you sorted out your problem?
Yeah, let me try.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's okay right now. It's okay?
That's working fine now.
Yeah, perfect. Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is a pleasure to participate in this session concerning the policy measures implemented to address the impact of COVID-19 and share with you a quick general overview about Madeira's approach. Let me start with a very brief slide to introduce Madeira as an outermost region of Europe, where tourism represents more than 1/4 of the regional GDP. It is easy to understand to the very dramatic impact on our economy due to the lockdown, the closing of the borders, and on the flight companies as well. Well, after the end of the lockdown, the regional government decided to test all visitors at the airport, as it is the only gateway at the moment. Since then, there's a large increase in the health budget provided by a supplementary regional budget approved by the Parliament, about 115 million euros. In terms of enterprises, the regional government implemented measures like the layoff program, which granted up to 100% of the salaries, suspended the coercive payments, created moratoriums on bank loans, and accelerated the payments under incentive schemes. concerning the measures run by the Business Development Institute, we have already provided credit lines, a special incentive scheme for the company's adaptation to COVID restrictions, and a complementary aids to gradual resumption of the economic activity. On the investment side, IDE launched a new call to support projects from micro and small companies, and we hope it will help entrepreneurs on this resilient path we must all follow. Well, final message to all: be safe, be responsible. Madeira is still a clean and safe region, and you are very welcome to Madeira.
Great.
Thanks.
Thank you very much for that. And I think that last message is absolutely key here. And this is what, through the different initiatives that we have seen today, your one is also helping to reassure people that they're safe, and also help reassuring your businesses that there is the support there to help them through this difficult phase. But clearly, when the tourism market reopens, it is also going to be the locations which can offer this type of safety and security, but also ones like we have seen before, which offer these improved local supply networks, looking at green and circular practices. I think people are going to look more and more and more at the impact of their tourism destination, their tourism choices. This is clearly fundamental. Now, the very last session of here, and here we really need some questions and answers coming to our presenters. This is a panel session at the end, where we really want to get some of the key players who have been presenting today and been involved in actually making some real statements, make contributions to the future of this industry. But first of all, I would like to welcome Elena Angiolini from the European Commission, from DG Connect, who's going to help us to place the issue of these digital innovation hubs that have been mentioned so often today really in context, and really giving the state of play, what's happening now. But first of all, thank you very much, Elena, for joining us today. And I hope that the presentations and the comments and the questions have given you a good idea of what we're doing as a project, and what also our stakeholders are working on to provide the solutions to help the recovery of this industry through the principles of digitalization and sustainability. Over to you, Elena.
So, good morning, everyone. I hope that you can hear me well. Good.
Yeah.
So I'm going to share my screen because I have a short presentation about the digital innovation hubs. So I guess you can see that. Yeah, so taking from the beginning. So I'm working for the European Commission for DG Connect, and in particular for the unit dedicated to Digital Europe program and the digital innovation hubs, and in particular the European digital innovation hubs. So just an introduction, because I heard already a good definition of digital innovation hubs. So what I'm going to present to you is the version 2.0 of the European of the digital innovation hubs, which is the European digital innovation hubs, which is a little different from the official digital innovation hubs already existing, and who are integrated in the GRC catalog. Because the European digital innovation hubs are integrated in the Digital Europe program, which is the European program dedicated to the development of capacity building and the development of digital technology among the industry and public sector. And so among all the pillars of Digital Europe, there would be including artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, high-performance computing. There would be also a part dedicated to the digital innovation hubs as an instrument to spread and to support digital transformation, to collaborate also to enhance also the collaboration between networks between different European digital innovation hubs in Europe, and also try to find synergies with other programs. And in this, for the first time, it's also the Digital Europe program, and for the establishment of the digital innovation hubs in the Digital Europe program, there will be also the collaboration, a close collaboration with member states, because they will contribute to define the pre-selected candidates to apply for the restricted call dedicated to the European Digital Innovation Hubs, who will be published in early next year, hopefully. So I could listen to some good practices and very good expertise. So the digital especially in this period of of crisis and where the COVID-19 has is hitting not only physically the health sector, but also the economics. The digital innovation hubs have played a really fundamental role in terms of support companies in their digitalization, and also to accelerate this process. So for example, we saw that companies more digitalized have been more resilient during the lockdown, but also the innovation hubs could help in the short term, but also in the long-term competitiveness. So try to solve the problem in the short term, but also to find like a strategy, support the company in a strategy on the long term. And also, since the hub would be somehow, addressing digitalization, but addressing also a specific, I would say, a sector, or and to support the specific sector, the main sector of the region, then would be also a support for those companies in, for example, in those sectors that has been really, impacted by the COVID-19 crisis. So, for example, and to do so, the Commission also try to provide a sort of standardization in how to manage the crisis, and some guidelines for member states on how to deal with the crisis. So, providing guidelines, but also thanks to some European projects to organize, and with the support also with the digital innovation hubs, to organize hackathons, but also provide the new technologies to enhance safety of in holidays, during the holidays. So for example, this is just a short example of what we could do during this summer, thanks to a European project, CAST, dedicated to CAST project dedicated to tourism. So they organize a hackathon with the support with our support and the support of DigiGrow, and so the winner of this hackathon was a digital innovation hub for Algarve, who developed a safe tourism application that help tourists to receive real-time information on the activities, on the safest tourist activities and business during the COVID-19 pandemic. So. So these are just some examples, and hopefully there will come other suggestions will come. So for the moment, I'll leave the floor, I guess, to Dolores or to manage the panel.
We'll, if now Dolores and Yanya can join us on the panel, we have some questions. But first of all, Dolores, can you put up the third question, which is actually we need to find out where people are coming from today, and it's some of the participants. So if you just pop up that question, that'd be really good.
So I can give you a general overview. So this is the type of organization that are here present. So I think we have different entities that are covering the whole tourism value chain, but also different regional entities, university, research institute, also consulting, hotels, and so on. So I think it's very interesting because we have a great mix of entities that are interested in this theme, and I think it's also very important because it's very related with our webinar and with the digital ecosystems, the digital innovation hubs, which we are promoting in each of our regions. And then we started with the other question, that what is the key to the recovery of the sector? And well, we have not many votes, but they are growing now. And I think sustainability and resilient products, and then the diversified economies are the ones preferred. So with a big difference, the sustainability, but there's still more votes are arriving. So I think it's also interesting. I have kept the other one, the Mentimeter, which asking if everybody knows what a digital innovation hub is. And I think this is a very important tool that now the regions are pushing and are working towards it. And I think it's very important that everybody knows how they work, which are the objectives, and how to be involved, because a digital innovation hub will only be successful if they are able to mobilize all the ecosystem. So this is very important.
Great. Now, thanks very much for that, Dolores. And now we'll move over to some questions for the panel, Dolores, Elena, and Yanya. And I want to ask a single question, but actually put in different ways. And I'd like Dolores and Yanya to start, which is looking at the vision for the tourism sector in 2030, looking at this issue of sustainability, digitalization, and actually say what is your vision, and specifically for your own local areas. And then if Elena can finish off with actually looking at to support this sector, you know, what needs to be put in place, what do we need to happen within Europe, both in terms of the innovation hubs but also the innovation hub networks. So perhaps if you, Dolores and Yanya, can start off with your visions, and then it can actually look at perhaps some of the mechanisms which will need you to support them. So over to you, Dolores or Yanya. Either one of you can start. Perhaps Yanya, you've got your from the locals' perspective.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, good question. Where we'll be in the future? I think that we will be sustainable and niche with active, healthy, and safe tourism on the rural area. I think that this is my position for Slovenia and also for Europe. And I think that we will work on also based on digital technologies with innovative supply chains. We work on communications and dissemination, and it will be very important to stress the appropriate of infrastructure for all these digital innovation skills. So this is, I think, my way to another 10 years in Slovenia, in the countryside of Styria.
Okay, great. Thank you there, Yanya. Over to you now, Dolores.
So I really see that the tourism recovery or the future of tourism needs this work in digitization. I think it's very important. So that is not only because of COVID. I think that the tourists are digital. The tourism industry is one of the most fast-growing industry in terms of the request and the technologies that the tourists are requesting to have different tourism experiences, and these different and personalized tourism experience can only be brought by this digitization of the destinations, but at the same time, this situation and also the trends of the tourism activity has demonstrated that sustainability is a key pillar. So if we are going to be able to mix the technologies, the digitization with the sustainability, then we will have a very strong pillars in which other issues as the safety and security and other matters as such important as Janya just mentioned, skills. We need talent. So we cannot expect that tomorrow all our tourism companies, especially because in the tourism sector, the companies, the tourism value chain is very fragmented. And this means that we have a lot of SMEs. And these SMEs cannot change from one day to another to start with this digital transformation and start working directly in artificial intelligence or any other big disruptive technologies. So we need to help them, to bring them in the path to generate this transformation. And this will be a main issue of the digital innovation hubs. So I think we really need to work in our territory, but then we really need to work in network, because it's very important for us to learn what is happening in other countries, how they are managing and facing all these new challenges. And this will be a very important issue for the European network of digital innovation hubs.
Great, thank you very much, Dolores, for that. And that's really important points there. And just, Ellen, just for you, there's a specific question here that's right, which is directly related to the one I asked there, which is really, is there any difference in the uses of technologies and systems for digitizing industry in rural and urban areas? Can we use the same technologies for the same purpose? And so if you could also, I mean, look at that question, but also this issue of actually what is needed to support the type of systems which the two previous speakers have put in place. What can be done? What can be done by the Commission, but also what do local actors and stakeholders need to do? Thank you. Over to you, Elena.
So thank you for this interesting question and tricky question, as I would say, because well, I think that could be a good challenge to because we have a certain kind of technology and available in the market. So I think that could be a good challenge for a digital innovation hub, but also for a local institution, a local agency to support in the two different way, like the rural area and the urban areas, with the best technology. So that's why I think that the digital innovation hubs could play a very crucial role in this process, because from one side they provide like the service test before invest. So in this way the companies, but also the public sector who want to come to to improve their level of digitalization can test the technology and try to fix the most suitable one for the specific purpose. And and this will be done together with experts, and also provide some skills at the same time, so trainings in order to well, train people to know how to use this technology, because otherwise it would be useless to have this kind of technology if nobody would be able to do it. Another point, it's crucial from the Commission point of view, since we are a little bit out of the reality, the local reality. And so what we needed, I think that's it is the good point, the strength, the real close collaboration with member states, in terms of because the member states and the regions knows what are their problems, so what are their needs, and so based on their input, then we can arrange somehow and adapt also our guidelines and even our instruments, because yeah, the main point is to be able to reach the small company, the little municipality that would like to increase their digitalization and would like to be, and would like to resist and be more resilient in this period, but also try to evolve in order to be still able to maintain their market. So so that's why the collaboration commission with member states, and also we try to put in place some specific tools, but also try to find increasing synergies between the different programs that we are that we are put in place. So, for example, the new resilience and recovery and resilience facility, that could be an instrument that could help member states in order to solve or support somehow the the companies, the economy, but also the public sector. At the same time, try to from one side also the regional funds together with the Digital Europe could be also another solution to evolve, and then try to play. I know that is not easy at all, but try to find the best way to. Also from our side, we are trying to find a solution in order to make it easier those synergies between the different programs that we are going to put in place. So we need also to call and to discuss with other colleagues from other DGs, because each DG manage a different program with different targets, but at the same time we try to somehow make it more accessible to to the public. So this is our purpose from our side, and at the same time we try to a really strong collaboration with member states in terms of remember how to identify their needs and try to find together solutions.
No, thank you very much, Ella. And I think there's a lot of what you were saying there was very much some key words that were coming out about this question of actually not only you as a representative of the Commission, the wider Commission, understanding the needs of particularly the rural and peripheral areas better, for us actually also to work together more, to be able to establish a dialogue with not only with the Commission, but with our regional, national governments, with the European level, with stakeholder organizations. Because I think one of the key things that we found is that if you are a small town of 1,000 people, your voice is very small.
Yeah.
But if you are part of a network and you have share the same interests as 100 other towns of the same size as you, you suddenly start to have the same weight as a city. And I think that's also okay. The political and economic weight clearly does matter. And if you can demonstrate that who you are representing really does represent a significant number of European stakeholders' economies, then your ability to dialogue is greatly increased, but also your ability to transmit what the real issues are at local level. So I think that's obviously something that's key. And as you were saying about also the tools that are in place, it's looking at what that most appropriate ones are, and we need to do that. They may not necessarily be the same. Dolores pointed out that you can't start approaching some SMEs with sort of artificial intelligence solutions if they are way down the digital path. You've got to have this staged approach. You've got to bring them into the system. You need an accelerated bring them in, because they've got to get up to speed. But on the other hand, they need mechanisms to help them get up to speed. So thank you very much for that. And just to finish off as well, relating to this, really for all of you now, what you consider to be, really a last question that's come on here from Emilia as well, which is looking at what is the biggest challenge to the digitalization of the rural and peripheral areas now within Europe, and how can we overcome the challenge? What is the biggest challenge and how do we overcome it? short answers from all three of you will be great now. Thank you. So Dolores or Anya, to give Eleanor a bit of a rest.
Well,
So
there are a lot of challenges now. I think flexibility. So we are now in a period in which bureaucracy of the public administration should be balanced with the needs that the private sector is needed with specific quick answers. And we really need that all the periods that are needed from the public administration to take decisions and to put programs working and launching initiative should be balanced with the speed that the companies are needed. So I think we really need this kind of agile solutions just to be able to recover, but also to have a better future for all of us.
okay, great. Now over to you, Janja, for
Yeah, I think that we need a common strategy on the EU level, and also in our rural area, we need technical and educational assistance with trainings on the new digital technology in the future, today and in the future.
when you say a strategy, do you mean a strategy for the tourism industry?
Yes, to tourism industry and for digital skills for our suppliers, for our inhabitants, and for producers.
Okay, yeah. That's...
European policy.
Yes, yes, yes.
European policy on tourism would be great.
Yes, we need it, but we don't have it.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's a big subject, I know, at the
Yes.
moment, and it's really trying to either have a direct strategy or ensure that tourism is also included as a key element of the strategy in other areas. Both, it's really getting that there. I know that's not something you can necessarily answer directly, Eleanor, on
No.
that, but it's certainly just on this. Now, what for you now is really the sort of the key challenge and how we can overcome that. Okay, over to you.
So yeah, I guess from the Commission point of view, the main challenge is to provide programs or tools with an effective impact and a positive impact on on the final users. And first of all, to do since we are managing even public money, so what we would like to do is to to have a really relevant impact and try to put during this progress, during this this program period, to make the difference. So try to take a picture of today, and hopefully in 6 years to try to have a relevant increase and increase of company with completely 100% digitalized, and it also having impact also in the different areas, including the rural areas. So this is the big challenge for us. Try to reach also the small town in the middle of nowhere, with some relevant tools for them, to let them have at least the choice. I mean, to be able to, if they want, I mean, if they understand the added value to be digitalized. So yeah, this is for us. And also the other challenge would be to try to find a good balance between also that collaboration with the different member states, because of course the problem of a big country is not the same of a smallest country, and each member state have its own specific needs. So try to find dedicated solutions that could be somehow flexible and could be easily adapted to the different situations. So this is a really big challenge, and hopefully we will be able to to reach it.
Great, yeah, exactly. It's this question of having the tailor-made solutions, but also understanding the general issues as well, because areas are both unique and common, and they're more common than unique. And I think that's the key thing. It's so what I really want now, this is now the end of the webinar. I know we have one last question, because this proposal we have of actually establishing a network, we call it European sort of Rural and Peripheral Digital Innovation Hub Network, or Digital Innovation Network. So I think, Dolores, can you just put up the very last question that we have? And this is really to help get people's interest.
It's there. Yeah. It's
It's in there.
Yeah.
Okay, there we are. Superb. So great. It's there. Sorry, it's very small. All right, no, but that's great. Thank you very much. That obviously really does show that there's a significant interest in this, and we will be keeping up to date all of the different participants in this about our work to achieve this, and also clearly one thing that's needed, that we will, as a project which is representing this type of area, do what we can as a network to help provide the Commission with some of the information, the contacts, the networks, the solutions that they need, and play our role together with other initiatives to actually help the Commission achieve its objectives and to help the rural and peripheral areas, particularly in the field of tourism, achieve their objectives of having a sustainable, resilient and digitalized tourism. Okay, so thank you to everyone who's participated. Thank you in particular to all of the speakers today for your excellent contributions. Thank you to Eleanor from the Commission. And we will be sending all of you the presentations from today and other information as well. So super. Good work, everybody, and we'll be in touch with all of you soon, and onwards and upwards, and let's all hope that one day we will actually be able to visit some of the wonderful places we saw today in a safe and secure manner. Thank you, all of you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.